Hello guys, this is Dark Fox Sage 2 and we are back with our new fanfic, which is What If Lost Sakura Reached World of Titans and Met Levi Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and please subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to upload more fanfic like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfiction. It was almost time. I was going to break out of these walls. Part of me saw this as the perfect opportunity to escape. I didn't belong here, after all, and I wanted nothing more than to return to Konoha. Another part of me had a different desire to help Eren. I owed him a debt of gratitude, for he was the reason I had made it out of the trial alive. He had my back when he was safe. Just this once, I could call him a friend. Eren and I met up with the others in the supply room while our superiors set up their stalls outside. Armin and Connie were filling our gas canisters in an orderly fashion. I looked at my gear. Eren had his arm around me as we walked to our room to retrieve my gear once he was done cleaning up. It was a little annoying walking like this, but it couldn't be helped. Was that the last one? Jean asked the blonde who was crouched slightly next to the supply canister. He fastened it onto Mikasa's gear. Yes, we are done and ready. Good. Now we can use it. Jean walked around Eren and stopped suddenly. His brown eyes studied Eren's face. This mission is for you. We were told to protect you at all costs. Eren stiffened. I could feel Mikasa move a little closer between them. Eren, did you really attack Mikasa when you were closing the hole in Wall Rose? He asked bitterly. Mikasa growled. No, it's just a scratch, he said quickly. Jean turned to him. It's not just a scratch. Mikasa, that wound looks deep. If Eren decides to turn into a titan and attack us, then what? She turned to Eren. I want to know, what are we fighting for? We risked our lives to protect you, so I want to know, what are we fighting for? Mikasa stepped forward. We fight because that is what we are ordered to. Mikasa, not everyone here is like you. We don't want to die for Eren for no reason. Jean interrupted her. Mikasa lowered her head in defeat. Eren looked around, unsure of what to say. He swallowed hard. I heard that I actually attacked Mikasa. I guess that's true, but I don't remember it. All I remember is lifting that boulder to cover the hole. Eren sounded like he was sad about hurting the dark-haired girl. Jean scoffed. You don't even know what you're doing with your Titan form. I want to fight, but you need to give us something worth fighting for. Eren, how much can you give back to us? How much can we trust you? Jean grabbed the front of Eren's shirt, his face inches away from hers. Mikasa looked ready to beat him to a bloody pulp. I noticed with curiosity that Mikasa was overprotective of Eren, while Armin usually hid in the shadows. I don't know how much I can give you, but I'll do my best to protect you guys. Eren said drastically, his hands clenching into fists. Jean let go. That's enough for us, we're counting on you, some of us will die for you, so don't mess this up, damn it. Eren looked at us, his eyes sweeping over all of our faces with determination. I won't, he replied softly. Alright, we should get out of here, Jean said. Armin nodded and picked up his quiver. We went outside. The horses were lined up neatly in their stalls. I could see the other scouts making sure their saddles were secure before jumping on them. New scouts, come and get your uniforms. Erwin's voice drifted past us. He was standing in front of the building where we were lined up, holding a folded green outfit. He smiled. Okay, Connie shouted as she ran towards the commander, followed by the rest of the members. Let's go. Eren nudged me and I followed the trio to get what was given to us. A sleeveless jacket-like cloak. Erwin looked at me as I took one from his outstretched hand. My thoughts flashed back to when Hanji's Titan was killed. Who do you think the enemy is? He said to Eren. He was putting his trust in me too. He was as intimidating as Levi, in a calm way. I broke away from his gaze as I pulled the material over my head. I fumbled around until my head emerged from the cloak's opening. I jumped back when Levi's bored face appeared in front of me. There you are, I thought a pink head would stand out in this crowd, but you're hard to track. I blinked as he pointed to his squad. Find Aren and meet the others, I'll meet you soon to give you orders. I mumbled a yes, and walked towards where Aren's team was stationed. I caught sight of Levi standing next to Erwin. They were talking about many things. I wish I knew what they were talking about. I didn't like how this was going. Aren was standing with Armin and Mikasa, exchanging words. I caught them quickly. Hey, Levi wants us to join his squad, I said. Mikasa's eyes narrowed at me. I shuddered. What was her problem? Oh well, I guess I'll see you guys later. Aren said to the two. Mikasa took Aren's hand. Be careful, he muttered anxiously. Armin looked at us both. Good luck, Sakura, Aren. We'll see each other after this mission. He took both of our hands and squeezed them. My heart stopped for a moment. These people, they were saying goodbye as if it were their last. Why was this so bad? When I left Konoha on missions, it was never like this. It was as if people were laying flowers for our funerals soon. Armin let go and left. I know. I'll see you guys again. He bid Mikasa farewell and ran to his squad. Mikasa glanced at Aren and hugged him briefly, murmuring goodbye before leaving. Let's go, Aren said. We walked towards Levi's squad. Petra and the others were already on their horses. There were 2 horses left, so Aren and I easily hopped on them. I gently stroked the animal's fur. I'd ridden horses before, on a mission in the land of tea. I knew I liked them, but riding them for too long made my butt hurt. I said, this will be Aren and Sakura's first time on a scout mission. Petra's first time was terrible. She was upset with herself when she saw a titan so close. Oluo grinned. Petra gasped. That's not true. I didn't do it. Her cheeks flushed bright red as she glared at Oluo. The man laughed. Of course you did. I remember it as if you did it yesterday. Petra hissed at the old man to shut up. Levi appeared behind us on his horse. What's all the fuss about? We'll split up. Listen carefully to my orders. I think you all remember the plan we made last night. My mouth nearly hit the floor. I slept last night. They were planning the mission without me. I groaned. This will be the 57th expedition outside the walls. We will stay together as a squad no matter what. No one is to leave the circle. The other teams have a harder job to do. They have to alert us to the approaching Titan by shooting green smoke into the sky. Remember that, you don't really have to do much other than follow me. Our goal is to make it safely to the forest. Levi's voice was soft and strong. I could see Hanji shouting at her squad, and Erwin speaking calmly. The rest of the smaller squads gathered together to review the plan. The plan. I was still unsure of our goal. Sakura. Levi's voice brought me back to reality. Yes, I said quickly. His eyes bored into me. Look, some mistakes can cost lives. I nodded in understanding. Levi, what are we doing exactly? I mean, what is this mission for? His gaze pierced through me. You'll find out soon enough. Don't worry yourself about it now, and if you want to be in my squad, call me Corporal. My heart fluttered at his words. He was pressing me into a professional distance. Okay. I didn't care. He would always be a clean fisher and a Sasuke clone to me. He wasn't my teacher, I was just following Kakashi-sensei. Still, being in his squad meant I could be with Aren, and I was fine with that. After all, Aren was my only friend here. Okay, Corporal, I muttered, almost bitterly. He continued to stare at me, his expression a bit confused. Good. Time to go. Remember to stay by my side, he ordered, and steered his horse forward. The other team lined up behind us, while Erwin's team led the way. Don't pee on me, Aren, Sakura, ouch. Oluo howled in pain as he bit his tongue. Petra glared at him. I sighed. Of course not, I won't. I replied. The horse harness made me bounce up and down a bit. My pink strands flew wildly around my face in the air. Since I wasn't wearing my headband, my hair was loose. Maybe I should tie it in a ponytail, I thought. I looked at Eren. His expression was thoughtful. This mission was actually to test his abilities. It was the only thing I could think of. Why the squad leader was keeping it a secret, who knows? The rest of the members looked as clueless as I was, but no one questioned the corporal. As we approached the gate, we were greeted by cheers from the townspeople. Rows of them stood on each side of the town, shouting for Levi to kill the Titan, to cut them down. I stared at the back of his head. He looked relaxed being praised this much, he must be a hero for this village. A good asset. We pushed through the crowd and moved through the gate that was opened for us. For a moment I wanted to ask why we needed horses, then I remembered. These people weren't ninja. They couldn't just run into the forest like me in the open when there were so many giant cannibals roaming around. Erwin was shouting something incoherent to the other teams that were scattering in different directions. I panicked. I forgot what I was doing for a moment. Levi moved forward quickly, his horse moving at a fast pace making his body move rhythmically. I followed quickly, my horse making me hold onto the saddle because of its speed. Only our team was moving straight ahead. The others split off in 4 different directions on either side of us. Petra caught my eye and she smiled, assuring me it would be fine. I hated not knowing anything about this. Information was always crucial for a ninja. I turned my face forward. We circled, with Levi in front and the rest of the group huddled in an oval behind him. The horses galloped at full speed while we rode in silence. I heard a pop and looked in the direction it was coming from. A streak of green smoke appeared in the sky to our right. Titans, get ready. Hey, they will only beg to die by my hands. Oluo boasted loudly. We don't fight Titans unless it's necessary, and you're not getting off your horse under any circumstances. Levi shouted. Oluo slumped. That guy was too happy. I was a little happy too. I wanted to see these creatures everyone feared. The point was, this creature controlled them to hide behind those giant walls. We rode in silence for about 5 minutes. Eldo and the others were starting to look tired. Another pop drew my attention to the sky. A trail of red smoke. Emergency, Petra said, staring at the smoke. Levi's gaze lingered on it as well. Someone must have gotten off their horse. Eldo, go see what's happening and help them. Levi sounded uncertain. Yes, Captain. The blonde man stepped back from the squad and headed towards the direction the smoke was coming from. Another pop. Red smoke billowed into the sky. Levi's face darkened. The formation's broken, you idiots, can't do a single thing. His voice was low, but I could hear it was disorganized. My stomach clenched. Didn't that mean they were under attack? Should we help them? I asked sharply. They could die. I turned to Petra and the others. They were silent. Only Eren looked confused and worried. No, we have to head for the forest. Just because some teams have fallen doesn't mean we have to fall with them. Sometimes, sacrifices have to be made to succeed. My jaw dropped. He couldn't be serious. But, no one said anything. There was nothing to do but hope they wouldn't get eaten. It was depressing. The sky was filled with smoke and the sound of fireworks from the guns. After a moment, I could see the forest. We were almost there. Form a tighter circle, stay close to me. Levi ordered. We obeyed and ran at a brisk pace. The forest was clear now, and there was a small path just like the one I had come through when the old man had helped me. I turned to Eren. Did he even know his father was out here? What was the old man doing outside the walls anyway, and what about this? We were entering the forest. I was swallowed by the shadows of the trees. The familiar smell of the forest brought me back. It was nostalgic. I noticed everyone stiffen, especially Eren. No one knew what was happening. I gasped. Did Levi even know? I stared at his back, the scout troop's symbol of blue and white wings shining proudly on his green robes. I had a feeling Levi didn't know. I met Eren's gaze. His blue eyes held confusion and fear. We were actually thinking the same thing. We rode for a few minutes until the pops stopped all at once. The silence was eerie, making me wonder what had happened to the other squad. I held onto the saddle. These weren't people from my world, but they were still people. I didn't want anyone to die. Are we almost there? Oren asked anxiously. He didn't like this situation. Shush Oren, don't talk, just follow Corporal's orders. Petra mumbled. Her eyes were wide and filled with fear too. She was scared. Her expression did nothing to ease my fear. Oren bit his lip nervously and turned away. I kept looking at Levi. What was he thinking? I would have given anything to read the mind of a Sasuke clone. We drove for a few minutes until I gave up. I was a little impatient. Where are we going? I asked aloud. I couldn't deny not knowing what was going to happen. We'll meet up with Erwin and Hanji's squad as soon as possible in the middle of the forest. The other squad will stay behind and make sure no Titans get in here. I frowned. We'd been driving for over 25 minutes and still hadn't seen any of the creatures that supposedly ate the world. I looked around. I only saw trees, and trees. No Titans. Where were they? Why were we going to the middle of the forest anyway, to train? This was about Oren. They were going to use him for something, but I couldn't make sense of it when the sound of horse hooves came from my right and I was instantly distracted. Eldo appeared, with a look of utter terror on his face. Captain, there's an intelligent female Titan coming our way, he shouted. My breath caught in my throat. Smart, Petra shouted. Oren gasped and turned to Levi for an answer. He didn't say anything, he didn't even turn around. Captain, what do we do? The usually arrogant Oluo no longer sounded like a braggart. He was terrified. We keep moving, don't stop, Levi commanded. Oren grimaced. But Corporal, this Titan is going to catch us. He's fast. Armin's team is gone, they have no chance against him, he's protecting his neck. Eldo shouted in frustration. Oren's eyes widened. Armin, is he okay? She asked worriedly. Eldo nodded. He's fine, this Titan doesn't kill to eat, he kills to kill. He walked past Armin when he got off his horse, saying that the Titan was looking for someone. That's crazy. He realized his weakness is his neck. How are we supposed to beat him? Oluo shouted. He was losing it. Petra was breathing heavily. Shut up. He won't catch us if we keep moving. Don't stop, Levi shouted. He, too, sounded unsure and angry. I could tell. Levi had no idea what was going to happen, other than that we were going to have to move through the forest. The blind leading the blind. But who is he looking for? Oren shouted. He gripped the reins of his horse tightly. Was the Titan looking for Oren? My heart nearly jumped out of my chest when I felt it. The ground beneath us was shaking slightly, slowly and rhythmically. It was bad enough that everyone was panicking, but feeling the ground shake made me want to form a jutsu that would make me disappear from here forever. We all remained still as the ground shook more and more violently. I could hear a distinct thud, like footsteps running towards us. Wide footsteps. Captain, Petra screamed in despair. I gritted my teeth. What was that bastard doing? He was the worst captain ever. Eldo, guard us for a moment, try to stay calm. Everyone draw your swords. If you see him, do it quickly. Levi shouted at the blonde man. Yes, sir. He stood on his horse and using his gear, he flew and balanced himself in the air above us, gripping his sword tightly in his hand. He prepared to attack. Suddenly everything was in slow motion. I could hear my heart pounding as we all turned to the man floating above us. The footsteps grew louder, louder. My heart pounded faster with each passing second. I held my breath. Louder. The ground gave a final shake. A giant, skinless hand slammed into Eldo and sent him flying into a tree with force. Blood sprayed through the air. I screamed. It was huge. A Titan, looking like a woman with blonde hair and shrewd blue eyes, ran with a raised hand towards us. Her body was skinless, with bones in places. Her face was the only part that had skin, protecting the area above her eyes. I could never have prepared myself for this. I wanted nothing more than to abandon the mission and jump from tree to tree and never look back. This was no worse than a tailed beast, or a summoning. But this was different. This was a hideous, skinless, giant cannibal. I had never fought a tailed beast, and I could never defeat one. I could do something no different now. I gasped. A summoning. I could summon Katsuyu. She wasn't a fighter, she was a healer. Even so, her acid would be more than enough. This was what we needed, but these people wouldn't understand how I could conjure a giant slug anywhere. Will they see me and Katsuyu as a threat? Captain, he's getting closer. He's going to catch us. Petra shouted. I could see the shadow of a giant hand flying out. He could snatch any of us in an instant. He slid around us, knocking over trees in the process. Oren screamed. Keep moving. It's going to be okay. Levi shouted, looking up at the sky. Petra wasn't convinced. Shit. He's next to Oren. We came here to drag him here with this punk and now we're going to die. Oluo screamed in terror. He was losing control. Oren looked back in horror. Really, Corporal? What's going on here? Petra shouted. Levi didn't say anything. People suddenly appeared beside the Titan. Reinforcements from behind. Petra shouted. A man spun in the air, using his gear to fly and move to kill the Titan. It didn't work. The Titan grabbed a wire and threw it at a tree, crushing the man on his shoulders into a bloody pulp. He screamed and died. Another man appeared and ran towards him, only to suffer the same fate. The Titan grabbed the wire and pulled, grabbing the man with his hands and squeezing, muffling his screams. More blood appeared in the air. Captain, your orders. Petra screamed. She shook. Let us kill him. He will catch us if this continues. Let's kill him now. Captain. Levi. Everyone was shouting now, even me. I was panicking. He pulled out a gun and pointed it up. He pulled the trigger. I heard a pop that made my ears ring. Smoke grenade? Oren asked. Levi looked back. What's your job? Letting your feelings take over like they are now? No. This squad's mission is to keep that boy safe from a single scratch, even if it costs us our lives. Mike entered the circle, his face grim as he rode. More and more people appeared. We're going no matter what. We're not stopping no matter what, understand? Levi's voice was even more relaxed. He didn't look even the slightest bit scared. Roger. Petra shouted. Oren gasped in disbelief. We're still moving. How long? And that Titan is behind us. Oren's words were cut off by a new reinforcement force that suddenly appeared. Relief team. Hurry. If we don't help, they will be destroyed. Stay ahead. Keep moving fast and don't look back. Ane's squad members shouted at him. Right. Carry out the captain's orders. I don't understand why we left them to die. Or why he didn't explain. Why? Because the captain decided not to tell us about this mission. You don't understand because you're new. Oluo interrupted. Why? If Levi's squad doesn't defeat him, then who will? He responded stubbornly. I want this to end. Someone screamed. We turned to see a man being hit by a Titan's hand and smashed into a tree. He's dead, and maybe we can save him. Oren shouted drastically. He was confused. Oren, stay in front. Petra shouted angrily. Are you telling me to stay away? To abandon my friends and run? Oren spat. He was blinded by anger and helplessness. Listen, I can take him down. All I have to do is transform. He held his hand in front of his mouth. What are you doing, Oren? You're us. If you go on a rampage, I won't hesitate to kill you on the spot. Just follow my orders. Levi spoke to Oren in a serious tone. Oren stopped. But if I don't, he will catch us. I can protect you. Oren, trust your friends. We chose to trust you, so trust us back, we'll protect you. Petra said, staring at the young man with her big honey eyes. Oren was fighting inside his head. To go back or not. But, he began. If you want to do it, then do it. You can't achieve anything without sacrifice. Just make sure that you choose to do it. You have no regrets. I can say, he's a real giant. No matter what you say to him, no matter what confines you to him, he will never give it to anyone. Levi said, giving the prospect of letting Eren go. Oluo nodded at him. Eren lowered his hand. Eren, the difference between you and me is about experience, but you don't have to rely on it. Choose, believe in yourself, or believe in the scout troop and me. I don't know and never asked. I trust my abilities, or choices in friends I trust, but no one ever knows how. I was almost hypnotized by Levi's words. Eren lowered his hand completely. Trust us, Petra whispered. Eren shook. You took too long. What's your choice? Levi shouted. Eren's eyes were glassy as if he was about to cry. His chin was wrinkled. I'm going, he shouted. I looked back at the Titan. We were all going to die. It was going to crush us. But even so, they had put their trust in Levi. I bit my lip, my eyes watering as well. People were dying left and right, and still, this squad chose to continue. I had to do something. Even if it meant breaking the trust they had placed in me. They trusted each other. I'm going to kill that Titan, I thought. I raised my finger to bite it and call out to Katsuyu when an explosion went off. We all jumped in surprise as Erwin and Hanji shouted to their squad. Smoke covered the air. We kept going. They're doing it. Don't stop. Keep moving. Mike, you led. I'll back them up. Don't stop under any circumstances until you reach the center, got it? Mike mumbled a yes and sped ahead of us. I looked at Levi as he matched his position with Eren. Once you're a good distance away from the Titan, hide Eren, and keep an eye on Sakura. He darted off. I could see the female Titan being tied up with wire mesh as the scouting force surrounded her. She held her hands above her neck. They didn't mean to take the Titan alive, did they? Eren asked. We've captured a Titan, understand Eren? This is the power of the Survey Corps. Don't underestimate us, you idiot. Oluo boasted proudly. Petra smiled. Yes. Eren shouted in relief. I remained silent. This was too easy, it couldn't possibly be that fast. Are you okay, Sakura? You look pale, Eren commented. I nodded my head. I couldn't shake the bad feeling I felt. My heart was still pounding from the experience. Why yeah, I'm just shocked, I've never seen a Titan this close before. I responded shakily. It was the creature that had eaten half the world's population. Huh, but wasn't your village attacked? Oluo asked suspiciously. I remained silent, taking too long to process his question. Leave him alone, he's in shock. Petra defended me. I shivered in horror. It was too soon. I looked back at the screaming Titan. I almost gave up on myself. I was lucky I didn't summon my summon immediately. Mike directed us forward. Levi's words brought me back. You never really know what will happen. What will happen if I summon? I bit my lip. I don't know, and I hope I won't be found. We have to hide Eren for now, I can solve my problems later. We rode, cheering for the rest of the journey. Our fears forgotten. Corporal Levi stood next to Erwin in a nearby tree. The female Titan had been successfully captured. Levi's eyes lingered on his retreating team until they were too far away to identify each other. Too many lives had been sacrificed in the attempt to capture this Titan. Even so, this was something precious in the eyes of his superior. He would trust someone he had followed for so long. His dark irises swept across the Titan. Someone was there. He imagined wanting to dig up the human body inside it. In his dark irises, there was no visible emotion, but that didn't mean he didn't care. He cared about his comrades more than anything in the world. More than he should. I hope they haven't peed themselves, the man grumbled. He drew his sword. Wait, Levi, Erwin stopped him. The tall blonde had different plans. He wanted the woman inside the Titan alive. Waves 2 and 3, fire. Erwin shouted. Explosions erupted as more wires were fired towards the female Titan. Look at you, Titan. You won't be able to scratch, you won't be able to make any movements, this might be the rest of your life. Hanji spoke like a madwoman, looking at the wires with a sadistic smile. They're designed so that the more you try to move, the easier you'll be to carry. But how are we going to get that guy out? she asked, looking protectively at the Titan's hand covering his neck. We can cut it, Levi said. He used his maneuver to jump onto the Titan and move to attack it. The Titan's hand froze into a hard blue crystal. Levi's sword collided with it and broke. He frowned angrily. His method wasn't working, and it was making him angry. A special part of his body that hardens to form a shield, it's the same as Titan armor. If we keep using our swords, will he weaken? Erwin spoke loudly. Levi grumbled. Who knows, he responded, walking on top of the Titan's head. Erwin called out to someone. Prepare the bomb, blow up his hand, he said with a hardened face. The soldier gasped. But the number of bombs we brought is only enough to blow up what's inside, he commented, pointing to the Titan's neck. Erwin frowned. We'll aim for his wrists first, he needs to get out of his Titan body. Go. The soldiers nodded and walked towards the others to prepare the bombs. Levi pushed his feet against the Titan's hair, hoping to get as much dirt and dust as possible. He wanted to kill it. Hey, why don't you just get out? We don't have time to waste, so what do you think will happen to you now? Do you believe you can escape? I hope you'll consider all the trouble you've taken. He looked at his head with hatred. The one who killed his men. Eldo. He just wanted to cut off his head. I remember you killing my troops in various ways, do you know how fun it was? Now I'm happy. I think you can understand me. He waited. The Titan was silent. After all, he couldn't speak. Indeed, I have a favor to ask of you. Is it okay if we cut off your arms and legs? His voice rose, questioning. He glared at his head sharply. They'll grow back, right? I'm telling you, your limbs aren't Titan, we need you alive anyway. He raised his sword. He wasn't prepared for the sharp, piercing scream the Titan let out. Everyone clasped their hands to their ears as the Titan screamed in a loud, angry voice, making the air swirl. Levi nearly stumbled off his head. He screamed for a long moment, then stopped. Surprising, he muttered. Hanji lowered her hands from her ears, shaking in shock. That was it. A scream of pain. She asked shakily. Everyone waited. The Titan showed no signs of moving again. He was silent. Titans. They're coming from all directions. Someone shouted in panic. Everyone gasped in fear. Prepare the bomb now. Erwin shouted. Train escort team, prepare. Titans appeared from all directions. This would be no use. There were too many of them, and their target was the female Titan. Everyone retreated towards the trees except Levi. You did something, didn't you, bitch, he muttered, kicking her in the head. He gritted his teeth and shot a wire at two approaching, flying Titans. He spun wildly, quickly slicing through the back of their necks without any problems. Thereafter the female Titan. Protect her. We need her to stay alive. Erwin shouted. Everyone flew up to join the battle. Chaos. Blood rained from the sky as Titans were cut everywhere. Erwin couldn't even see anyone. This wouldn't do any good. They were outnumbered. The female Titan had already been eaten. More blood rained down, and a foul stench began to spread. Everyone, fall back, Erwin ordered. They couldn't protect the female Titan. Get back into formation, we're splitting up, now. He shouted in his strong, confident voice. They watched as the female Titan was eaten until she was nothing but a pool of blood on the ground, disfigured and unrecognizable. We almost got him, I can feel it. Erwin muttered to Levi, who was hanging by his gear from a tree. The darker-haired man wiped his bleeding cheek. Just look at you, don't tell me. Erwin was disappointed in himself. The enemy intended to sacrifice everything for himself. I didn't expect him to destroy himself along with the evidence by making the other Titans eat him. He had failed. He was truly disappointed. For Erwin, failure was devastating, but he never showed it. No, he was strong, calm, and quiet. But Levi always knew what Erwin felt, and he could see it now. All our talk in court, and this is what happened. If we go back empty-handed, who knows what will happen to Ren or us. Sakura will be suspected too. They will be afraid of the shadow of having an outsider with the incident we gave today. Levi said. He thought about this. Will the girl be killed? Maybe. Even he can't keep someone from the king. He will decide to torture her for information. Levi frowned. Erwin will try his best to defend her, because he knows, his superior is interested in the girl. He brags too much about Sakura. He can't understand why. Erwin is like Levi. He is not a man with visible emotions, so whether his interest in the girl is because of her skills or if it is romantic, Levi can't say. Still, he knows Sakura is strong, being the only one on the same level as him. They need her, but she still hasn't shown anything worthy of him. Why is she so important to Erwin? It irritates Levi how she hides her emotions so well. Is she worth it? They knew Eren, but Erwin acted like he was very important, in his silent way. No one would notice, but Levi knew better. This was truly terrifying, considering Erwin's age. He stared at the blonde man for a reaction. He showed none. We'll worry about that later. Our priority right now is to return without casualties. For now, we leave as fast as the smoke clears. It could get in the way with our signal flares. For a second, Erwin held back the sadness in his voice. This made Levi wonder if he heard him okay. I'm looking for my team. Levi stood up, pressing against the tree to leave. Wait, Levi. Refill the gas in the cylinder. Erwin ordered. No time. I think I still have a lot. Why? It's an order. Just follow it, Erwin said with a blank expression. He wasn't in the mood for argument. Fine, Levi muttered with a frown. He turned away from the taller man. I trust your judgment. A blue flare shot upward, signaling to the others that it was time to leave. The others followed suit, signaling that they saw him. This was an order, they were to return home. What was that explosion? They were trying to capture him. That was Erwin's plan from the start, wasn't it? Eren's voice echoed throughout the forest. He looked anxious. We finally reached the center of the forest and stood in a tree, waiting for orders. Explosions rang out again and again. There's someone inside that Titan, right? I can understand why he didn't tell the new squad, but why didn't he tell you guys? You've been in the scouting corps for a long time. Eren's voice trailed off. Shut up, Oluo shouted from where he stood, clearly offended. Are you saying the commander and captain don't trust us? Petra retorted. Eren turned to her. But that's how it is. He shouted defensively. I remained silent and stood pressed against the tree. Petra, hit him until his teeth come out. Oluo howled in anger, swinging his sword at Eren. No, Eren is right. I think there's a reason why Konandan can't trust us, and there's only one reason for that. There's someone who can transform into a Titan, or a spy helping him in the Scout Corps. Gunther gasped, making me jump. This guy was so quiet all the time, I never really paid attention to him. Are you sure? A quiet, dark-haired man asked. Well, I think only the soldiers who were informed of the plan were those who were still alive since the incident 5 years ago, Mike concluded. I know, Gunther whispered. That's for sure. Look at Eren, that's the reason. Oluo scoffed. Yes, that makes sense, Petra added. Dia marisa bawa lima tahan lalu, ketika dinding pertama robo, seorang mata-mata men Yusuf Barizan kita, dan itulah bagaimana dia mendekati kemungkinannya. Dia meyakinkan Eren yang selama sesat memasang wajah tidak mengerti. Oluo menatapku dengan curiga. Aku mengerti dan menggalikan mataku. Dia menaruh curiga padaku. Lalu menurutmu mata-mata itu membunuh Sani dan Bean? Tanya Mike. Petra mengangkat kepalanya. Pada saat itu, Komandan menanyakanku tentang hal itu. Aku terkesip. Erwin tahu semuanya itulah kenapa dia menanyakan Eren tentang pertanyaan itu selama Hanji panik. Aku dan Eren bertukar pandang mengerti. Jadi itulah maksud pertanyaannya. Eren berbisik. Jika kita bisa menjawabnya, kita bisa ikut andal dalam misi ini dengan semestinya. Kata Mike, mengurut hitungannya dengan jari jarinya. Aku menagong. Dia lebih baik tidak melakukan kebiasaan mendengasnya sekarang. Aku tahu, tapi aku tidak mengatakan apapun, apa kau tahu kenapa? Tanya Oluo. Dia membual lagi. Kenapa? Aku bertanya. Dia berbalik padaku. Apa yang tidak kau ketahui? Aku menduga dari orang sepertimu, kau telah mencapai levelku. Suaranya rendah dan dipaksakan. Dia berusaha keras untuk tidak berbicara dengan nada biasanya. Alisku berkejut sebel. Hey, apa aku mencoba untuk menerukan Levi lagi? Petra bertanya, wajahnya menunjukkan ketidaktertarikan. Dia tidak akan pernah mengatakan sesuatu seperti itu, dan suaranya tidak jelek seperti suaramu. Oluo menggeram. Apa menurutmu komandan salah? Mike bertanya dengan tiba-tiba. Kami tetap terdiam. Eren, Sakura, kalian berdua belum mengetahui kami, tapi alasan Irwin Smith dipercayai umat manusia, kesatuan penyelidik, adalah karena dia bisa membuat keputusan yang tidak bisa dilakukan oleh yang lain. Lihat saja seberapa banyak Kapten Levi memperkayainya. Petra berseru bangga, hampir tak terkendali. Aku tersenyum. Eren menatap ke bawah dengan mengernitkan dahi. Dia memikirkannya keras. Banyak orang mati, semua karena kami tidak diberitahu tentang misi ini. Hal ini membuat Irwin terlihat buruk. Dia mencoba untuk menghindari. Eldo masih berada di sini, aku menatap sekitar. Tidak ada yang membawanya, dan aku yakin tidak ada yang ingin. Sebuah jeritan membuat kami semua membeku. Suara ini sangat keras udara berhembus dengan kencang. Kami menatap ke arah sebuah teriakan berasal. Apa itu? Oluo berteriak. Kami menunggu sampai teriakan itu mereda. Kesunyian tidak pernah terdengar aman. Apa yang mereka lakukan padanya? Eren bergumam. Dia memandang jalan dari mana kami datang. Dia mungkin frustasi. Ini terdengar seperti jeritan hewan yang tersudut. Cap Gunther. Aku duduk di sebelah Petra. Ketika misi ini berakhir, kau akan memberitahu Levi tentang perasaanmu, Oak. Aku berbisik padanya. Dia merona. Don't laugh at me, you have no idea how much courage it took to say that. She squeaked shyly. I smiled widely. No way. I elbowed him playfully. I loved playing Cupid. I wanted to see Petra have what I once wanted, but couldn't have. I can't believe you're talking about this. He groaned, throwing his head back nervously. A shot rang out. We looked up curiously to see a streak of blue smoke in the sky. Okay, we can go home, Oluo shouted happily. Mike pulled out his flare gun and fired upward. Let's go, he commanded, sniffing the air. I gave him a confused look. Why was he sniffing the air? You heard me, Oluo said with a smile. Let's go and see what kind of bastard that is inside. We set up our gas canisters to make sure they were still full. It looked like we'd be using gear to get back. I slumped my shoulders nervously. I could use gear just fine, I just didn't want to fly and accidentally jump from tree to tree. Will we really see who this spy is? Eren asked. Thank you, Petra exclaimed with a smile. Eren frowned. I really didn't do anything, he said. You trust us, this is because of your choice to trust us, making the right choice is not easy. Hey, don't bother him, Petra. What has he done? He's pathetic. He's just whining all this time, even Pinky here is more useful, I couldn't help but smile. Yeah, coming back from your first expedition is pretty cool, but it doesn't count until the mission is over, listen up kids. The mission ends until you're in bed. I pouted. Jez, I know, Eren said. We shot the gear forward with Mike leading the way. Eren, Oluo, you guys peed your pants and cried on this mission. After today, you'll be all grown up now. Sakura, congratulations on holding it in. She shouted cheerfully. We stared in disbelief. Shut up. What if Pinky stops respecting me? Oluo shouted. I burst out laughing. I never respected you in the first place. I responded. Shut up. I've killed more titans than you. More than you, idiot. He shouted angrily. I bit my lip to stop laughing. It was so easy to make him angry. Killing more is not what makes a great team. Mike retorted. Oluo bit his arm, angry. You all shut up. This isn't an excursion. You're outside the walls. By the way, I never peed my pants on my first mission. Gunther shouted. A popping sound interrupted the air. Green smoke. That might be a signal from Captain Levi. Let's go meet the captain. Hold your chatter until we get back to base. Mike shouted. He stood in a tree and shot a green flare upwards, signaling the Sasuke clones where we were. We sped forward in silence for now. Petra and I didn't continue our chat about her feelings for the clean freak. The forest became blurry as we sped away. After a moment, I noticed someone floating in the air, trying to join us. Oh look, there's your man. I nudged Petra, who blushed and hissed at me to keep her voice down. I giggled. Corporal. I shouted at him, finding Petra's behavior in front of him so cute. I wanted to make them go on a date. Gunther gasped. No, that's not Corporal. Who are you? I froze. The mysterious figure spun and flew toward Gunther, sword raised as he slashed at him. We all reacted too slowly. Gee, Gunther. What? Why? Eren screamed after the silent man as he fell and hit a tree. The wire was the only thing keeping him suspended as he spun through the air. Dead. Eren. Mike and Petra shouted. I looked around frantically for the culprit who had turned on us. It wasn't Levi. Oluo and I were the only ones looking for the bastard. The others followed Eren. Where is he? I screamed. They had disappeared without a trace. Gunther. Gunther. Hey. Eren hung with his gear in the air and shouted at the hanging corpse. Eren. Don't stop. Mike shouted. He dropped down and grabbed Eren's waist. He threw him forward. Eren used his gear to keep from falling. But Gunther. He shouted, looking back with wide eyes. The mysterious figure had appeared behind us. He's there. I shouted. Who is he? Oluo hissed angrily, raising his sword. Protect Eren. Damn, what should we do? Petra shouted. Mike. Where are we going? There's no time to reach the horses. Oluo tried to position himself between the man and Eren without getting any closer. I took out a kunai and threw it at the man's face. I wanted to know who he was. He moved quickly, dodging my weapon. Get to headquarters as fast as you can. Mike responded. He sniffed. His eyes widened in disbelief. He knew who this mysterious person was. Is it from the female Titan? Or someone else? I asked. He didn't respond. Damn you. Come at me. I'll kill you even if it kills me. Petra shouted angrily. She stopped midair, preparing for an attack. The man retreated quickly, until he disappeared. We waited, the air changing slowly. I could hear my blood rushing through my veins in anticipation. An explosion interrupted, a red beam shooting down, causing the trees to crack. I gasped, my mouth hanging open. I knew it. He's coming, Oluo shouted. Petra whined. We don't have a horse right now. The Titan ran at full speed, the ground shaking with every step he took. Damn you. This time I'll beat him. Eren shouted. He held his hand to his mouth. Stop. You and I are still heading to base. The other members don't know our situation. Mike shouted. He turned to me, Petra, and Oluo. You three, by time, do your best to defeat it. My stomach clenched. Was Katsuyu my only option? Eren gritted his teeth. The Titan was moving fast. I'll fight it too, Eren said. No, this is for the best. Mike said resignedly. Your powers are too risky. Are you doubting us, you idiot? Oluo shouted angrily. I swallowed hard. I'd only be putting myself in a corner if I volunteered. Really? Don't you trust us? Petra asked, her eyes wide. Eren bit his lip and lowered his hand. With a glance at me, he darted forward. I believe my team will win. He shouted. Those were his words. If I have to use my powers, then I will. Eren is counting on me. I won't let you. I shouted. Mike turned to us. Sakura, I know you're new, but try to understand. Do what you can. Your death will mean something to humanity, it will give us hope. Good luck. Petra. Oluo. I couldn't believe my ears. He was wishing us luck and saying goodbye. He was sure we were going to die. Shut up. We'll kill that thing and come find you after this. Hurry. Get Eren for his safety. Oluo shouted at him. Okay. Mike dashed ahead of us while the three of us stayed behind side by side. The Titan was already in front of us, running and ready to kill. Let's go. Oluo roared. The three of us adjusted our gears and moved forward, ready to take him down in one fell swoop. The air felt cold as we headed towards the running Titan. My hair was flowing wildly. I could hear the sound of gas shooting out from my back, making me fly faster. How much gas did I have? It didn't matter. Falling to the ground wasn't my fear. I could easily catch myself and land on a tree. I gathered chakra in my hands. If this giant could regenerate, I wouldn't be able to defeat it just by hitting it. However, I had to immobilize it to get its neck. This was the only way I could think of to get it to move its hand. It seemed like it was protecting its neck. We were now closer to it. The Titan raised its hand to hit us away, and I bent down to avoid it. It was fast, and I almost lost my balance in midair. Petra and Oluo shot their wires at the Titan's face and pulled themselves towards it. Take this. Petra shouted. They spun elegantly, pointing their swords at the Titan's eyes. I was baffled by their abilities. They were powerful. The female Titan stopped and placed her hands on her neck. Her eyes were blind. Her blue eyes closed quickly as blood gushed from them. Damn. His hand is in the way. Oluo growled. I moved towards the Titan and shot a wire at his cheek. Pulling myself up, I used the speed as a boost to increase my chakra pulse. He stumbled backwards and fell, his butt hitting the ground and his back hitting a tree. I cursed him. Now that his neck was protected by his hand and the tree, this was harder than I thought. Damn, what the hell was that? Oluo cursed as he stood atop a nearby tree. His mouth hung open. Hey, how did you do that? He shouted, swinging his sword furiously. Petra was just as confused as the man. I grinned at the two of them. I have special fairy dust that can grant any wish if I sprinkle it on myself, and I just asked to become a superhuman. They froze. Are you serious? Oluo said with his mouth hanging open. My smile vanished. Maybe this wasn't the right time for jokes. Sakura, please be serious, how did you do it? Petra asked with wide eyes. I shifted nervously. I can explain later. Right now we need to open his neck before he regenerates. I shouted, pointing at the cornered Titan. I know something you've done. You won't get away with this. I'll ask you about it after this. Oluo spoke with a suspicious glare. I didn't care, because I wasn't going to stay here after this. I had to just get myself tied up dangerously, but even if I told them the truth, they'd never believe me. I was positive I could survive outside the walls until I found a way to get back to Konoha. After all, I made a promise to Petra. Could I really just leave like that? Enough. The Titan is healed. Let's finish this now, Petra shouted. We turned towards the Titan, its eyes emitting steam. Damn it. Let's go. We jumped down from the tree and shot towards the Titan's body. I pulled out my grip and drew my sword. Make that bitch pay for it. Oluo's voice was harsh and filled with anger. Die here with dishonor, Titan. Petra sliced off his forearm, causing him serious injury. We circled his torso, cutting and slashing all over his body at breakneck speed. I spun in the air and landed a slash on his shoulder. His arm throbbed. Cut as much muscle as possible around his shoulder. He won't be able to lift his arm. Petra instructed. We obeyed. She moved to slash his collarbone. Oluo and I followed suit, slicing through his forearm and shoulder. The Titan's arm slowly fell to his side. It's working, I shouted, unleashing a second sword. Now his neck. I caught a glimpse of Eren retreating out of the corner of my eye and flashed him a smile. He looked back with a relieved smile. We'll defeat this thing once and for all. Cut the muscles around its neck, We can attack its weak point. Move. Petra shouted, using her gear to fly around the Titan. Oluo and I followed her, preparing to cut. I felt a rush of happiness and adrenaline as we moved to kill it. It was almost fun. This was better than training, and I would avenge the people this thing had killed. Attack his neck now. Oluo's voice was cut off as he moved toward her face. It happened too fast. The Titan's eyes suddenly snapped open as he swung his head around, opening his mouth and biting the annoying man. Blood splattered down his chin. I gasped, unable to believe what I was seeing. No, Petra screamed, tears welling in her eyes. Only one eye. She was focusing her healing on just one eye. I gritted my teeth. How could I not notice as a medic? The Titan spat out Oluo. The top half of her body landed on the ground and the bottom half was thrown elsewhere. Petra lowered herself to the ground and took off. She was running away. I frowned angrily. How is that possible? He couldn't possibly see. She screamed, completely panicking now. Petra, get out of here. I'll handle it. I yelled at her. She stared blankly. Did she hear me? The Titan got up quickly and ran at full speed towards the girl. Oh no. Petra, get out of the way. I screamed, trying to match the Titan's long strides. He was too fast. My fist glowed green with chakra, ready to strike him. My eyes widened. I couldn't make it in time. Petra, he's coming for you. Get out of there now. I screamed incoherently. Petra's screams were cut off when a large foot stomped on her, smashing her body against a tree. Blood splattered all over the trunk. She was dead. I screamed in rage. You bastard. I shot my wire at the back of his neck and flew at him, sword raised. I spun and sliced. My sword broke. I stared in shock. The back of his neck was covered in a blue crystal-like substance. He jerked me, my body colliding with his skinless hand, sending me flying backward, my whole body going to hurt after this. I caught myself just in time, stepping onto a nearby tree branch. I used my chakra to jump and spin, lifting my leg as high as I could over my head. I was going to kick him with all my might. His blue eyes widened in surprise as my foot made contact with his head. His knees buckled and he bent over. I didn't make it. I hit him on the back with force on my landing, the ground shaking. He twitched beneath me, then with a sharp growl, he lifted up and threw a massive punch at me. I gasped and used my gear to fly out of the way, his punch ripping through the air only causing me to be thrown off balance. Kya! I let out a small scream as I flew and hit the ground. He was annoyed. I quickly got up and ran under him. He stomped wildly, aimlessly, hoping to catch me as I jumped. He growled again as he kicked the air, making me stop my feet. I gasped for breath. It's not working. He's too big. I muttered to myself tiredly. I ran full speed towards his left leg. He wasn't expecting it. I struck his calf, sending him crashing down once more. The ground shook as he collided with the earth. Now was my chance. I jumped onto his back and ran towards his neck, sword ready. I jumped, the air giving me a boost as I sliced through his weak point. The crystal formed again, breaking my second sword. I shuddered in confusion. Again. Why? Why can't my sword penetrate it? What is this crystal? I clenched my fist as I angrily struck it. The Titan shook, and with another thud, lifted itself up. I staggered and jumped away, watching the crystal vanish. So it could form some kind of shield. This was harder than I thought. The Titan stepped away from me, raising its arms in a fighting stance. I stood in the tree, looking down at it wearily. So you're taking me seriously now? I asked in a very loud voice. He didn't say anything. I wiped the sweat off my forehead and shot my wire forward, pulling myself up toward the sky. I moved around his neck to land a blow, but stopped when I saw he wasn't moving. Huh, my heart skipped a beat. This was a trap. His head jerked violently, colliding with my body and sending me flying. Sakura. Oren caught me in midair and we both rolled across the ground, his arms wrapped around me protectively. He was taking the risk of falling on purpose. He got up and helped me up when we stopped rolling. Eren, you should get out of here. Where's Mike? I looked around dizzily. No sign of the sniffly blonde. I saw Petra die, and then I got kicked by the female titan like a rag doll. I came as fast as I could. Mike left without knowing I was here. She put her hand on my shoulder with a confused look on her face. So she slipped away from him. Eren, come back. I'll handle it. I coaxed the blue-eyed boy. His chin was creased, tears quietly rolling down his cheeks. It made me want to hug him for comfort. I won't let anyone else die. I don't want you to die. I won't turn around and watch what happens. I'm going to beat him this time. He squeezed my shoulder tightly and locked eyes with mine. I stared at him in amazement. I won't let you die. He let go of my shoulder and ran towards the Titan. Wait, Eren. I called out helplessly. I didn't want him to die. Lightning struck the ground as a red light covered the sky. My hair flew wildly and I had to cover my face. The ground shook with every stomp I heard. Opening my eyes, I gasped at the sight before me. A male Titan with shoulder-length brown hair and taut skin ran towards the female Titan with a roar and slammed into the ground, making the earth tremble. So Eren really could transform into a Titan. I turned around, giving one last glance at the fighting Titan. Good luck, I muttered before I ran to my fallen teammates. I looked at Petra first. Her body was bent at an odd angle, pressing against the blood that had splattered the tree when the Titan struck her. I slowly approached her. Petra, I whispered. My hands gently gripped her head and pulled it back to look into her eyes. They were half-lidded and her mouth hung open at an odd angle, blood pouring out. I moved her head and realized, with sadness, that her neck was broken, along with her jaw. I bent down and pressed a hand to her back. Her spine bent stiffly. I grunted in defeat. Pressing my hands to her lower back, I began to heal her. I knew it wouldn't work, but I had to try. I could feel her bones mending as I pumped my chakra. There's a cherry blossom tree where I live, we can pick them another day, they'll look beautiful in your hair. My hands shook at the memory of his voice. Don't go back on your promise to me, you have no idea how much courage it took to say it. I bit my lip, trying to stop the fear bubbling up in my throat. I stood up resignedly. Petra was already on her way. I couldn't help her. I turned away from the corpse and went over to Oluo. Grabbing the upper half of her body by the arms, I pulled her towards the lower half. I could still try to put her back together. I bent down to begin healing as I pieced her body together. Her face was almost peaceful, despite her gruesome death. I pressed my ear to her chest. There was no heartbeat. Her skin felt cold as I pressed my hand against it. She was gone, too. Just let her go, I thought. If I had gotten here sooner, I might have been able to heal her. The heart and brain still work in death. That's what I'd learned from Tsunade-sama. Especially if the body is half destroyed, as long as you get to them quickly, you can save them, that's what she said. I punched the ground in anger. This was the Titan's fault. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I whispered to the dead man as I stood. It was time to leave. I jumped over a tree branch and stopped, frozen. How could I do this? I couldn't ignore Eren like this. I turned to the Titan fighting in front of me. Eren was on top of the female Titan with a broken arm, screaming into his face so loudly, the female Titan turned her face to the side. I could help Eren before I left. I wasn't the type to abandon others in their fight, I wanted to help, especially if it was Eren. I jumped from tree to tree and shot my wire towards Eren's shoulder to attach it there. I pulled myself to him. He tilted his large head, his green eyes widening at my presence standing on his shoulder. Eren, keep him like this. I'm going to summon something to Kya. The female Titan pushed her foot into Eren's stomach, releasing it, making me lose my balance. A large hand grabbed me before I hit the ground. I was swallowed tightly by the skin and for a moment I felt terrified. He could accidentally squeeze me. I shook his grip hard, making him release it. He sat up, the female titan standing in front of him. He quickly got up and placed me on a high branch, pleading with his eyes for me to stay. He turned towards the female titan and moved. They engaged in combat once again, Eren roughly pushing her down with a roar. The female titan raised her arms defensively and quickly moved away as Eren hit the ground. Eren! I shouted. The female titan stood facing the male titan in a charging pose. Eren did the same, steam pouring out of his shattered fist. Eren was defeated. Now was the time to summon my summoning power. I had to kill the female titan and help Eren. I put my finger between my teeth and bit down. I froze. A strange feeling bubbled up inside me. My vision began to darken and my heart beat rapidly, my heart trembling. I gasped as I felt an explosion, red overtaking my vision. I fell backward slowly. It was the strangest feeling. It was as if I was in a very vivid dream. I was floating. Almost as if I were dead. The colors around me were incredibly bright, and amidst the nausea, the spinning, the dizziness, I felt a strange sense of awareness, powerless and dreamy. Am I dreaming? My mind flashed with colors, getting brighter and bigger. There was a lot of green around me. My mind wasn't separated from my body anymore. I didn't feel numb. I sat on the grass, it was nostalgic, with memories of my Genin days in the training field. I sat quietly as I watched Naruto argue with Sasuke. Kakashi stood across from them, his face blank. They're fighting again, I thought. I smiled. It was a pleasant sight, seeing teammates fighting again. Sasuke pushed the blonde, making him fall on his back. I giggled. Hey guys, stop, I said. My voice sounded strangely distant, as if I were in a long tunnel. They continued to fight, Naruto roughly wrestling with Sasuke now, they were thrashing around each other's arms. It was an almost erotic sight, with half of Sasuke's shirt lifted. I smiled, a little blood leaking from my nose. Sasuke threw a punch. Naruto's head turned to the side. Another punch. Blood streaked the blonde's nose. I winced. You guys, stop, I repeated. My voice sounded even more distant. I clutched my throat. Sasuke bit Naruto's neck, my best friend screaming in pain. Stop it, I screamed. No sound came out, I was mute. Sasuke pulled out a chunk of flesh, blood and glistening flesh flying around Naruto. Stop. My mouth moved, but no sound came out. More flesh was torn off. Sasuke ate my friends' faces. The sky turned blood red. Crimson rain fell from the darkening clouds. Sasuke pulled out an eyeball. Stop it, I screamed. My voice was gone, I couldn't speak. Kakashi stood there staring blankly. Why wasn't he doing anything? I tried to get up as red liquid dripped down my face. I couldn't do it. I was trapped. I could only watch as the raven-haired boy ate my teammates. Stop it. Naruto's jaw was red, blood soaking the grass. Stop it. Her screams were silenced as her tongue was pulled out, her stomach gaping at Sasuke's hands. Stop. I clawed desperately at my face, pieces of it falling to the ground, leaving a bloody mess of torn flesh on the grass. I screamed. My eyes opened. I was confused. Where was I? My vision was blurry, but I could see a large figure in front of me. Eren. That's right. I was fighting the female titan. With Eren. I sat up slowly, my body feeling numb. It took a moment for the ringing in my ears to stop and my vision to clear. I looked around dizzily. Titan Eren was crouched over me, studying me with wide eyes. Why? I reached out to push him back and froze. He was no longer his size, he was the same size as me, our faces facing each other. I checked my arm. There was no skin, bones covering all my knuckles and nails. I stood up hastily, almost falling over at my unnatural height. The female titan was now my height, or maybe a little shorter. I stood there confused. What was happening to me? Was I a titan? I opened my mouth to speak but couldn't. I couldn't speak. It was as if I didn't know how. I touched my throat with my skinless hand and felt around. I could feel a bit of skin and bone there. I could tell my face had skin just by stroking it. I'd never wanted a mirror so much in my life as I did now. The female titan moved, landing a kick at my face. I staggered, my jaw cracking. Eren grabbed my arm and pulled me away from the female titan. Steam bubbled in my mouth. I was regenerating, but it didn't hurt. I felt no pain. Eren roared and rushed towards him, the female titan dodging and taking up a fighting stance once more. Eren circled around her, getting between me and the enemy. I stood trembling completely, my pink hair billowing. How had this earth turned me into one of them? I was so confused. Eren moved again, slamming into the tree behind the blonde titan, forcing it to its knees, steam billowing from its face. The blonde spun around quickly, hardening its foot into crystal and slamming it into Eren's face, crushing his head. My mouth hung open, my stomach clenching in anxiety. Was he dead? The blonde titan crouched over the headless body. He held its shoulders steady and opened his jaws. Eren shook in the air, his foot trapped around the female titan's neck. He was going to swallow him. She brought her mouth down, chewing on the meat. Eren was gone. His body was gone now, just a moment, nothing but giant bones. I growled and launched myself at the female titan while she was still crouched, knocking her down hard. I sat on top of her, grabbing her chin roughly and pressing down hard, breaking her jaw. She lifted her head towards me quickly, slamming her forehead into mine hard, making me shake. I felt myself being pushed by her legs. She won. I slowly sat up and watched as she lifted herself up and began to run away. I growled loudly. She couldn't get away by swallowing Eren. Discover more. Books. Social media marketing. Anime merchandise. Eren. I turned to the owner of the voice. Mikasa. The girl was staring at me with wide eyes. Oh no. Did she see me as a threat? I couldn't speak. I didn't know how to explain it to her. Well, that could wait, I had other things to do. I quickly got up and ran after the blonde titan as fast as my legs would carry me. For now, I had to get Eren back. I could see Mikasa flying past me towards the female titan angrily, cursing her to give him back. Good. She finally saw who took Eren. It would be bad if the girl started following me thinking I had him. I ran faster, determined to catch the titan. My chakra felt strange, hard to manipulate. It was hard for me to increase my speed with chakra like this. Mikasa spun through the air, slicing across the titan's back. The giant blonde knocked the dark-haired girl away. She quickly controlled her body and used her gear to fly around the titan's legs, slicing through its calves. She growled and kicked hard in the air, sending Mikasa flying away. It was the same trick she'd used on me. She exploited the effect of her size on the wind, a clever move. I kept running. I was close enough to grab her hair, now I would seize my chance. Reaching out, I grabbed her hair, only for her to elbow me hard. She kicked my lower leg, sending Mikasa flying again. She turned and continued running. Mikasa. My eyes widened in surprise at the sight of Levi catching the girl in midair. He was already trying to chase the titan again, but the girl wouldn't stop. Levi looked at me. I shouldn't be surprised, he muttered. Mikasa glared at me. She's that girl, Sakura. Right? He asked. I stiffened. Unusual pink hair. She's the only one who has it. The question is she friend or foe? Levi muttered softly. I really wished I could speak. He's not attacking us right now. Wait, Eren's inside the blonde titan. We have to save him. Mikasa responded. Still, she was looking at me suspiciously. I frowned and looked in the titan's direction. I roared and jumped after him. The ground shook with every step I took. Let's go. Levi shouted at the girl. They flew in front of me. At least, they didn't try to cut me off. I was happy for now. The blonde titan raised her arms above her neck defensively as Mikasa lowered herself to the ground. Levi hovered above her, to the right of my face. Was Mikasa distracting him? It seemed so. Levi's shot was accurate, If only the female Titan's hand hadn't been in the way. The blonde Titan kept running. Did she notice Levi behind her? It looked as if she was focusing her attention on Mikasa's every move. Their plan was working, as time seemed to stop as the Titan turned quickly, throwing a punch at Levi, completely surprising me. Reflexively, I grabbed her arm and held it there using my chakra to destroy it. Levi spun wildly and slashed haphazardly along the Titan's arm, then towards its head. Blood splattered from the wound, I couldn't believe it. Levi was amazing. His speed and skill took both the Titan and me by surprise. I was completely mesmerized by the Sasuke clone's actions. Levi leapt and stabbed the Titan in the eye, leaving him blind once again. He moved to throw the man, but I caught his arm with my own, completely stopping him. Levi moved quickly, cutting through its entire body, using his gear to his advantage. The Titan fell to the ground, pressing its back against the tree to block access to its neck. Hey, lift his head. I looked at Levi. He waited impatiently for me to obey. I crouched down and grabbed the blonde's hair, pulling him up to lift his head. Levi went down to slash his arm angrily. Why did he do that? Eren was in his mouth. Damn, this was Levi's way of getting back at him. He couldn't get his neck while the Titan was crystallizing. After all, he only told me to lift his head, but probably decided to put pressure on him. Eren was there and he could get hurt too. Blood splattered from his hands as they slid limply down from his neck. The wire shot towards the Titan's neck. Mikasa moved towards it angrily. Stop. Don't. Levi shouted. I gasped as the blonde raised his hand to grab the dark-haired girl. She was going to be crushed. Levi pushed Mikasa away with his body and stood stiffly on the Titan's hand. His face was contorted, as if he were in pain. I grabbed his skinless hand before he could throw Levi and spin him around. Hadn't I done that before? He healed quickly. Levi seized the opportunity to leap and slash his mouth. His jaw dropped, and Eren slid off his tongue, covered in something yellow. He was filthy. Eren! Mikasa shouted happily. I watched as Levi swooped down and grabbed her. He shot his wire at my shoulder and jumped off, dragging Eren along. Is he? Mikasa spoke from atop a nearby branch. He's fine. But dirty? Forget it, we're retreating. Don't forget our goal. Is it more important to get what you want? Isn't he an important friend? Levi said loudly, dropping the unconscious boy onto my shoulder. I remained standing, afraid to move lest they fall. Not me, but they were your friends too, right? He killed them. Levi's face darkened. It doesn't matter now, it happened, there's nothing to be done. Come on, I'm almost out of gas, we should take him with us to the others. He jerked his chin at me, holding Eren with one hand as he sat down. He winced in pain. Was he hurt? Mikasa sighed heavily and jumped next to Eren's sleeping body, sitting beside him. Okay, he replied. Levi turned to me. Go back to where we first came from, I'll let you out when we reach the horses. You have some explaining to do. I stared at the empty street for a long moment. I could run, escape, and never look back. But this wasn't a necessary choice anymore, it was a moral one. Was it really okay to leave those stranded here? No. I had to get them to safety, especially Eren. I began to run quietly, my footsteps causing small tremors in the ground. Levi clenched his legs, biting his bottom lip hard. Sorry. Mikasa mumbled apologetically. Lei shrugged indifferently. It's okay. I just jumped. My leg isn't broken, he said bluntly. My heart raced. I had to heal him when we got back. I owed him for saving Eren. He's crying, Mikasa said, looking at the Titan. I did the same. Tears silently streamed down her cheeks. I ran faster, wondering what was coming next. I'd been running for a while. Levi told me to stop where his teammates' bodies lay, only to find them gone. Erwin must be collecting their bodies. Keep moving, the dark-haired man ordered. My eyes were glued to the blood splattered across the path we had come from. How could Levi speak so calmly about the lifeless bodies of his comrades? Did he even care? It was hard to read him, his face never betraying his emotions. Even so, ever so briefly, I could see a flicker of anger. His way of grieving through anger, just like Sasuke. I hated the similarities between the two of them. What will happen to Ren? Mikasa broke the silence, saving my feet from touching the ground. Levi sighed. I don't know, but worrying about this won't solve anything. Mikasa grumbled. She stroked Ren's back sensually. What about him? She glanced at me quickly. Levi didn't say anything. His silence was killing me. What would happen to me? I was so anxious. Still, it was just what Levi said. The more I worried, the more depressed I would become. Worrying wouldn't solve my problems, because right now, I just had to keep moving. The forest blurred as I ran faster, my pink strands flying wildly around my head. I had to tell them the truth. I wouldn't get anywhere lying. If anything, it would only make things worse. As hard as this was to believe, I hoped they would understand. I knew Hanji would definitely not hesitate to buy my wild story, knowing how crazy she was. We're almost there, take it slow. Levi instructed. I stopped running and took a slow step. My eyes scanned the ground. Strange. There were no hoof prints in the mud. Where were they? A wave of unease bubbled up in my lower abdomen. This wasn't pleasant. Levi was talking about this so lightly. I had just transformed into a giant, skinless titan and he was jumping on my shoulder to use me as a human steed. I had expected him to attack, or at least throw insults in an accusatory manner. The way he was acting wasn't a normal response, as if he had expected me to transform. Something was definitely up. I could see the daytime sky on the other side of the path. We were almost at the edge of the forest. I stopped and took long strides. The afternoon sunlight was becoming clearer, the shadows of the forest lessening. My nervousness was growing with each step. Levi was going to take me out, but how? Considering the fact that we were targeting the back of the female titan's neck, her true body was probably there, she had put her hand up to cover the spot. So my true body was behind my neck as well. I gently pressed one of my broad hands under my hair. I can't feel it at last. I'm completely disconnected from this. Is Levi going to just slice me open? He could seriously cut me open. I don't know how far inside my body he is. Okay. Mikasa, let's get down here. Levi took Eren by the plate and used the remaining gas to jump down. Mikasa followed. I took small steps, careful not to step too close to them as they walked along the side of the path. What was that man doing? Was he not going to get me out? An explosion startled me, and I nearly jumped. Numerous wires shot towards me, stabbing through my body from different angles. I didn't even have time to react when someone shouted something incoherent. A huge spike containing a web was thrown up above me. My knees buckled, causing me to fall and land on it. What was happening? As the smoke cleared, I could see Erwin and Hanji, along with the rest of the scout corps spread out around me, swords in each hand. So this was a trap. Levi had led me here on purpose to catch me. I felt betrayed. I squirmed against the wires binding me. I was on my knees so my face was quite close to the commander's head, and he looked at me intently, watching me struggle against my bonds. It didn't hurt, but I didn't want to kneel at such a stiff angle. It was embarrassing. Levi walked towards the handsome blonde, looking at me tiredly. You're right, he's half Titan, who would have known this? Levi patted Erwin's shoulder once before walking next to Hanji, who stretched her arms above her head proudly. Wait, is that what you're waiting here for? To catch another Titan? Jean asked with a strange look. He scratched his head, looked at me closely, then let out a surprised gasp. Hey, that face, it's the pink-haired girl. Armin stiffened beside him, his mouth agape. This isn't just a mission to use Eren as bait for the spy who infiltrated the walls 5 years ago, it's also a test for Sakura. Erwin spoke fluently. He stepped closer to me. Wait, hold on. He's a Titan too. Jean's mouth hung open. He grabbed his hair and threw his head back. Erg. Everyone's a Titan. He eyed the people around him suspiciously, as if waiting for someone to magically transform into one. What's the meaning of this? Why didn't you confront him when you had the chance? Mikasa asked. She stood beside Eren, shielding him like an overprotective hawk. Because I'm not sure. I was already suspicious of him when he told me about his village being invaded by Titans, and coincidentally, he was the only survivor. He smiled warmly at me. Besides, it's impossible to survive outside the walls without any defenses to ward off Titans, but he acted like he didn't understand what a Titan was, and he didn't even ask first if we would be kind enough to return him to his village in hopes of finding survivors. My eyes widened with every word Erwin said. Stupid. I'm so stupid. How could I have been so careless? I really didn't think about it. Armin whispered softly. Not only that, it's too difficult because of his sudden appearance after my suspicions about the spy arose. I still wonder if he's somehow tied to the spy. I have to test his loyalty. For someone to survive without a wall or a 3DMG, they must be a half-Titan. Erwin stopped studying my eyes. He was only half right, but hey, he's smart. So I asked myself, what would a half-Titan be doing infiltrating the walls with a fake story about a village being breached? Maybe it's not fake. Maybe the village has a defensive structure device, which I really like to hear. The question is this half-Titan from the same village as the spy? Only this mission can determine that. If he is in fact tied to the spy, he will follow him back, and let him kidnap Eren, because that would be his goal in infiltrating the walls. Only this mission can determine if we can trust him, if he is not from the same village as the spy, if he is not a spy after all. I was stunned. This sounded like the plot of a detective novel. So, now what? He fought the Titans to win Eren back, even helped bring us back. Levi stopped. Erwin smiled at him. Just the fact that he's here tells me he's not a spy. He's long gone now. The only problem now is why he kept the fact that he's a half-Titan a secret from us. Erwin muttered to himself. The men began to lose their will to attack. They lowered their swords silently, giving me questioning looks. So, we're protecting her, right? I mean, we don't just kill a pink-haired Titan. Hanji exclaimed loudly. I was speechless. The only person I seemed to be on my side, and she was crazy. We need to hear his side of the story. Levi, cut him. Erwin ordered. Levi drew his sword and used the wire to attach it to my shoulder. I panicked. Was he just going to slice my neck like that? My hand tried to lift itself but failed. I was completely trapped. I could feel Sasuke's clone walking around my back, his shoes gleaming as he stepped directly under my neck. I closed my eyes and braced myself. It was quick. I didn't even feel the cut, but a sharp pain suddenly exploded behind me, in my real body. I could feel my giant body's breathing and thoughts stop as I felt arms wrap around my smaller body's waist, and lift me up. A sudden gust of cold air startled me and I gasped. My body was hot, steam everywhere. What was happening? I felt so confused and cold. Hands wrapped around my torso and lifted me up into a sitting position. I looked at the person holding me. Levi averted his eyes and felt around the top of his uniform. A bit of blood smeared across his face, but he didn't seem to mind, despite his love of cleanliness. I shivered as he took off his sleeveless green robe and pulled it over my head. Why was he doing this? I looked down at my body and realized, with utter shame, that my clothes were torn, my gear covered in acid and my pants half melted. I was wearing nothing but the knot on my chest. I pulled the robe away angrily, not wanting him to see. He took the hint and turned away until I was covered in the Sasuke clone uniform. What had this earth done to mine? I was wearing it in my jacket, not to mention my white-collared shirt. It was just how hot it was in there that my clothes were melting. It was embarrassing, wearing something from the clean freak, of all people. I'll get you down now, he said calmly. I can get down on my own, I said flatly and jumped down from the body I'd just connected to. He followed, using his gear to carefully jump down, trying hard not to put too much weight on his feet. Stumbling forward slowly, still feeling incredibly nauseous, Erwin stepped in front of me. You can explain when we get back to headquarters, we shouldn't be here any longer than necessary, can you walk? He took my hand gently and lifted my chin to look me straight in the eye. I thought so. I feel a little dizzy, sorry, I don't know how this happened. I commented lowly. I was still feeling hot, and the cold air wasn't helping. I see, you can stay with Eren on the train, and save it for later. I looked at the sleeping boy lying on the train. I nodded and walked over to the train, ignoring the whispers that were rising around me, and took one last look at the Titan I had been inside. Green eyes turned gray as he melted, his fluttering pink hair falling dead. Hanji was lamenting to Levi that he was going too fast, she wanted to try a quick experiment first. He ignored her and exchanged a few words with the clearly flustered blonde. I jumped onto the train and sat next to Eren, who was wrapped in a blanket. I winced in pain as my hand reached for his forehead. That damn Sasuke clone had accidentally cut my back while removing me, and it hurt when I moved my hand. Not being able to do anything doesn't have to upset me. I muttered tiredly. Now I had to heal both of us. Eren was too hot, so I pumped some chakra into him, hoping to alleviate some of his injuries. His face was calm, as if he were at peace. I was glad he was finally okay. Come on. Stay together and in formation. Erwin's voice made me look around. Everyone was on horseback, Connie and Jean leading the horses pulling the carriage. Krista and Sasha were leading the horses pulling another carriage filled with packages and corpses. My stomach ached at the sight of them, and in the pile were Oluo and Petra. We shot forward, the horses' hooves pounding against the ground as they ran. I stared at Levi's back in thought. How am I supposed to explain why I'm a Titan if I don't even know? I'm tied down. I wasn't a Titan when I was in Konoha, I didn't become a Titan when I summoned Katsuyu. I gasped. Does this mean I can't summon Katsuyu anymore? The only way I can summon her is by drawing blood, the only way I can transform is by drawing blood. It's a win-lose situation. I shook my head. It didn't matter now, I had plenty of time to worry about it later. I had to figure out how I transformed. I racked my brain for ideas. Something must have happened to me when I got here. Something. Let's see. I woke up in the woods. Then the doctor. I gasped. A syringe. He injected me with what appeared to be a drug. I clutched my arm where the syringe was placed. This must be it. That crazy old man transformed me. Humanity's last hope. It made sense now. I stroked Eren's forehead. So his father was responsible for his transformation too. This was a strange coincidence. I just had to be this boy's strange father. I guess now I have to tell them about him. I sighed and looked at the forest behind us. What was the point of waiting for him, if Erwin wasn't sure he would come? Jean asked Connie. The little boy snorted. I don't know what Erwin was thinking, but I think he knew he wouldn't be a traitor. Like a wire, yeah, there's always a chance he could be wrong, and he wouldn't just stay silent if we were to cut it. He glanced at me quickly before adding, I think this is better, we have another weapon that can protect us, we tried so hard only to lose and die, but now we have two Titans helping us to win. Jean muttered something incoherent and I closed my eyes in thought. The afternoon sun felt good on my face, giving me a feeling of calm and serenity. It was over, we lost a lot of people. I looked around wearily. Some of us were gone, this was sad. I gently pushed Eren aside and lay down beside him, wrapping my arms around Levi's coat like a turtle. The heat left my body and I was now cold. I curled up and closed my eyes. I could rest until we reached the wall, I could really use it. The sound of the wind and the galloping horses acted as a melody. I found myself drifting off slowly, my cold face not frowning for long, but relaxing as the minutes passed. No one really spoke, and I was grateful for the quiet. I remained half asleep and half awake. I was clearly aware of the sounds around me while clearly caught in the hypnagogic image of running through the forest. It felt good, like being in a rocking chair. I could hear voices all around me, so low and distant. I forced my eyes open slightly, willing the image to go away. If I was going to dream, I didn't want to see my titan form eating my friend while my face twisted. Couldn't I just sleep peacefully? Without dreams. I closed my eyes again in an attempt to recreate the previous state, until I felt the ground shake slightly. I shook it off and rolled onto my side, only for it to continue shaking. Frowning angrily, I sat up to see what had disturbed my quiet time and gasped at the sight before me. There was a titan chasing one of the surveyors a few meters behind us. I screamed and pointed at it, startling everyone who looked back. What the? Titan! Someone screamed hysterically. Levi cursed under his breath. I told that idiot not to come back for his teammates. He muttered bluntly. I stared at the giant human-like creature running at full speed towards us. Its face was so human, it was terrifying. What are we going to do? Krista asked the corporal loudly. He didn't respond, clutching his leg helplessly. Was he hurt enough to even fight back? We're still moving, Erwin said. He didn't turn to face us, but I could tell he was scared. No way. He's getting closer. What is that idiot doing? He should have gone the other way. Jean shouted. The man the Titan was chasing was getting closer, and he was bringing the Titan with him. He was holding 2 corpses on his horse, so he was going back for them, a wise but stupid thing to do. I can kill him, Captain. Mikasa offered loudly, positioning herself to launch herself into the air. No, I won't ask you to die like the others, just trust your captain, we'll reach the wall before he can get us. Levi spoke harshly. He bit his lip nervously. The man screamed as a body accidentally fell from his horse, but he didn't make a move to pick it up, he kept moving until he reached us. Captain, I'm sorry, he shouted desperately. Levi glared at him before rejecting his apology. Hey, he's pretty close to us. Someone shouted. I stared at the Titan towering over us, its mouth twisted in a tight, menacing smile. Levi's face darkened and became unreadable. Drop the bodies, it might get his attention for a while, he said darkly. I gasped. Are you sure, Corporal? They're our comrades. Krista muttered in disbelief. I can't believe this. What is she saying? Do it, he ordered emotionlessly. He gripped the saddle tightly. Okay. You heard that. Drop some bodies. Ymir shouted at the people nearby. They pushed several wrapped corpses off the train. Stop. No. I screamed. Petra was among them. Bodies rolled off the train and fell to the ground, only to be stepped on. The Titans ignored them and kept running. They pushed many bodies at once, each one of them tumbling violently. I caught a glimpse of Petra's face as the Titan's foot slammed into her. I couldn't take it. I buried my face in my hands, holding back my tears. It's not working, Ymir shouted. Levi didn't turn around, his teeth clenched in anger. I frantically searched my pockets. I had a bundle of kunai and shuriken, but I wasn't sure I had any explosive tags in a scroll. I grabbed one red scroll and opened it, searching wildly. It was bound inside. Tearing it open, I tied it to the handle of the kunai and aimed it at the damn Titan. I threw the weapon quickly, catching its heel. It exploded, sending the creature reeling. Everyone stared in amazement at the Titan. Did it work? I studied it carefully and saw that the Titan was no longer running, it was crawling stiffly through the trees like a spider. He's still coming, Ymir said. I winced. I had to slice his neck. I quickly got up and reached for Aren's gear, grabbing the handle and holding the sword there. I pulled on the wire tied to the handle. My gear was completely useless now that I was half melted. Apa yang kau lakukan, turun sekarang. Levi berteriak dengan marah. Matanya berkelat tajam. Aku memberinya pandangan sekilas sebelum melompat tinggi kudara. Aku harus melakukannya, ini satu satunya jalan. Mike Menatap Tuba Keselku Sat Aku Mambawa Kepalan Tanganku Turun Menuju Kapala Titan Yang Karas. Tana Bergunkang Sat Dia Jatu, Menyababkan Sebua Gelambang Besar Berdasir Kiraku, Lenganku Berjatar. Dia Besar, Tapi Tinggi Tubunya Membuatnya Dengan Lebih Muda Merobokania K Tana. Aku Jatu Dan Mendarat Dengan Semperna Diatas Pungingnya, Mensengram Padangku Dengan Irat. Aku berlari dengan kecepatan penyu ke atas tubuhnya, menghampiri lehernya. Aku harus melakukannya dengan cepat sebelum dia beregenerasi. Aku mengiris kulitnya dengan cepat, memotong sebanyak mungkin daging. UAP menghantam wajahku saat dia kayang dan terbaring limas. Aku berhasil, dia mati. Aku menatap kuda-kuda yang mundur. Mereka tidak berhenti, mereka tetap bergerak. Namun satu kuda berbalik dengan cepat, mengabaikan protes orang-orang di sekitarnya. Levi. Ekspresinya campuran dari banyak emosi saat dia datang untuk menjemputku. Marah, bingung, terkejut dan kagum. Sulit untuk mengatakannya. Kudanya skided to a halt saat aku melompat menuruni Titan. Dia menatapku kosong saat tangannya terjulur untuk memegang lenganku dan mengangkatku. Maaf. Aku meminta maaf dengan nada rendah. Aku duduk di belakangnya, mensengram pinggangnya dengan irat, berusaha keras untuk tidak melingkarkan diriku padanya ke sebuah pelukan. Aku akan rather suffer a stiff daripada melakukannya. Kami melakukannya bersamaan, semua orang menyorokiku. Sialan, Sakura, menakjubkan. Atu kekuatan Titanmu, benar. Hanji berseru keras. Semua orang mengikuti, menyerukan betapa kuatnya aku. Aku merasakan sebuah aliran bahagia bangga saat aku dipuji. Mereka pikir ini bagian menjadi setengah Titan, tapi aku tetap bahagia dipandang sebagai orang yang kuat untuk sekali. Inilah yang aku impikan sepanjang hidupku. Menjutkan, jika kau bisa memperingati kami sebelum kau berangkat untuk memukul Titan itu akan bagus. Jean berucap dengan sarkastik. Sebuah serangai melekat wajahnya. Itu sangat menjutkan. Kani setuju lalu tersenyum. Levi menggomel didipangku. Aku bisa merasakan piratnya menegang saat dia menggambel napas dalam. Aku sembarut sambil menggernit. Tanganku tidak sengaja menyelinap ke piratnya dalam sebuah usaha untuk membungkuk, dan aku bisa merasakan kedatarannya, daging kencang yang bagus menekan kain di chaos tipasnya. Pahaku bergesekan menekan pinggulnya di setiap langkah kaki kuda. Aku pura-pura tidak memperhatikannya, menatap pemandangan seakan ini adalah pemandangan yang sangat penting di dunia. Aku menyukai pohan-pohan itu, pepohonan yang sangat bagus. Discover more. Fan fiction writing. Ebook publishing tools. Books and literature. Diam. Levi berbicara. Marisa sibel dengan karabutan ini. Iola Levi. Kau juga habat. Akuila. Kap Hanji dan tertawa. Erwin memandang dengan cepat. Sebuah senyum simple lolos dari bibirnya. Hn. Dia merespon. Tidak kata itu. Atu sesuatu yang akan selalu Sasuke katakan. Ini membuatku ingin menggubur wajahku. Aku harus berhenti memikirkan pemuda yang ditelan kebencian itu. Aku sedikit berbalik ke samping untuk menjintip didipan kami. Dinding sekarang terlihat. Kita hampir sampai. Levi berucap dengan tenang padaku. Aku memasingkan mata padanya berpikir penuh. Apa kau marah? Tanyaku. Dia menatapku, sebuah kerutan kesel melekat wajahnya. Jangan konyol, kenapa aku marah? Dia menggela napas. Aku tahu, jadi Levi selalu seperti ini. Orang sepertinya sulit untuk didapatkan, dia sangat datar dan tidak bisa didekati. Kau tidak harus melempar mayat-mayat itu, Petra di sana, gumamku. Dia tidak merespon. Oh. Petra merancanakan untuk memberita humu sesuatu. Ini penting. Sebuah aliran kisdahan menerpaku. Ini salah satu hal paling menyedihkan yang telah kualami, Menjingat pengakuan sinta goddess yang telamati itu pada pria yang sedang kupyang. Kau bisa menahania ketika kita sampai, aku terlala lela untuk mendengar beberapa kabar sekarang. Dia memotongku. Aku menatap sayapnya berpikir, lambang pasukan penyelidik memiliki keindahan tertentu. Aku mengerti, aku juga lelah. Kami turun dari kuda saat sudah sampai di gerbang, bakangku terasa sakit saat aku melompat turun dengan cepat, lega bahwa aku tidak harus berpegangan pada pria dengan ini lebih lama. Levi berjalan melewatiku menuju pria yang dikejar tadi lebih dulu dan memberinya potongan bahu dengan simbol pasukan penjintai. Ini milik temanmu, aku mengambilnya sebelum kita pergi, kau lihat, dia tidak terlupakan. Pria itu mengambilnya dengan tangan bergetar dan terasak. Aku menatapnya, merasakan seda. Dialah satu-satunya yang berusaha untuk mengambil mayat temannya. Gerbang terbuka dan aku bergegas ke kereta yang menahan aren. Lania membimbing kuda-kuda ke dalam dinding dengan pelan, menunduk malu, penuh dengan kekalahan. Aku benar-benar tidak tahu, mereka seharusnya terlihat bersyukur bahwa mereka berhasil keluar hidup. Jadi kenapa, aku merasa aren bergerak di bawah tanganku dan aku meninggalkan selamat darinya dengan lembat. Mata baru samudra miliknya terbuka lebar melihatku dan dia duduk dengan cepat, melihat sekitar dengan nyilong. Di mana kita? Dia bertanya dengan keras, tetapan di wajahnya memberita huku bahwa dia bingung, aku tahu perasaannya. Kembali ke dinding, kita tidak berhasil menangkap titan wanita itu. Tapi kita mendapatkanmu kembali akhirnya. Aku menggigit bibir bawahku dengan simas. Jika Levi tidak ada di sana, aku dan Mikasa akan membunuhnya. Aku ingin, Mikasa juga, jadi kenapa dia tidak ingin membunuhnya? Dia salah satu orang yang menderita karena kehilangan rekan timnya, telah mengenal mereka sangat lama. Apa bahkan dia peduli? Ini membuatku marah melihat dia sangat tenang dan santai ketika si brengsek pembunuh itu ada di luar sana. Pergi jauh dengan membunuh orang-orang kami, apa yang akan terlintas di kepala Levi. Kami sekali lagi dikelilingi oleh orang-orang kota, mereka memasang wajah marah, berteriak menghina kami. Brengsek, kau membawa kematian diantara putra dan putri kami. Apa payak-payak itu untuk membayar latihan tak berguna kalian? Semua yang kalian lakukan gagal. Berapa banyak yang mati kali ini? Aren mencepalkan tangannya dan bersiap untuk meneriaki mereka kembali, tapi kemudian memutuskan untuk melawannya, melihat dua anak kecil yang memandang kami dengan kagum. Kami terus melangkah maju, mengabaikan hinan dan tatapan mensela yang dilemparkan pada kami. Di sini semakin berisik. Orang-orang tunggu. Tidakkah mereka melihat seberapa banyak kami juga kehilangan? Ini sangat tidak adil. Aku memahami ini kenapa orang-orang menjadi sangat pendiam dan menghindari kontak mata. Mereka pernah seperti ini. Aku ingat sekarang. Aku kalah dari Titan itu benar, kan? Aren bergumam dengan gelap, menundukkan kepalanya. Aku menggasak punggungnya memberikan semangat. Ya. Dia mendapatkanmu untuk beberapa saat tapi Korporal Levi menyelamatkanmu. Aku berhenti. Mata hajanya menjberku. Sakura, kau juga Titan. Ini lebih seperti sebuah pernyataan daripada pertanyaan. Aku setengah tersenyum dan mengangguk. Ya, aku bahkan tidak tahu. Kami menatap ke depan selama sesaat dalam keheningan. Bagaimana Ren akan bereaksi ketika aku memberita hanya tentang ayahnya? Bahwa dia menyantikan karena padaku yang membuatku berubah menjadi Titan, sungguh tidak ada cara yang mudah untuk mengatakannya. Aku hanya ingin membuatnya cepat. Aku memperhatikan seorang pria tua yang berjalan menghampiri Levi dengan sekerik kertas di tangan. Dia menatap pria yang lebih muda dengan gembira. Hai. Apakah kau Kapten Levi? Damana Petra. Dia memberita huku banyak hal tentangmu, kau tahu aku ayanya, Petra mengirimkanku surat ini. Dia mengangkat lembaran itu di depan wajah Levi. Petra menyuruhku untuk membaca ini sebelum dia berangkat ke ekspedisi. Dia memberita huku bahwa dia berencana untuk mengabdikan diri padamu, hihi, kurasa dia terlalu muda untuk menikah. Napasku tersekat di tenggorokan, apa Levi mengetahuinya. Ekspresinya gelap, seolah-olah dia sedang berjuang untuk mempertahankan wajah datar. Bagaimana bisa dia memberitahu pria ini bahwa putranya mati? Aku menatapnya saat Levi mengabaikan pria itu dan berjalan melewatinya, meninggalkan ia gadis yang telah mati yang kini sedang bingung itu dan berdiri sendirian di belakang kami, meremas kertasnya dengan lembut. Aku menatap Aren, hanya ada tatapan kosong di wajahnya. Aku menatap ke depan, memikirkan tentang bagaimana dia akan mendengarkan ceritaku. Aku diam-diam berdoa dia akan disisiku seperti saat pertama kali kami bertemu ketika kami berjalan melewati kerumunan dan memasuki lapangan terbuka markas besar pasukan penjintai. Aku dan Aren turun dari kereta dengan dibantu oleh Arman dan Mikasa saat kami sepenuhnya sampai di bangunan pasukan penyelidik. Kuberitahu kau kita akan bertemu lagi. Arman tersenyum hangat pada kami. Aren hanya melihatnya dengan ekspresi mati. Ya, dia bergumam. Erwin melangkah di depanku dan membungkuk untuk menyamakan tinggi badanku. Terima kasih karena menyelamatkan kami. Aku tahu aku bisa memperhitungkanmu, apa kau ingin beristirahat sebelum kita berunding? Aku menatap manik birunya sesaat lalu menggelengkan kepalaku pelan. Sama-sama, tidak, aku hanya ingin ini selesai. Aku menjawab dengan cepat dan melihat sekitar kira orang-orang yang berhamburan untuk meletakkan kuda. Mereka tetap mencari pandang kiraku. Aku yakin mereka juga ingin mendengar sisi ceritaku. Orang-orang ini, mereka membawaku dengan mudah, inilah satu-satunya yang bisa kuberikan sebagai imbalan agar adil. Aku tidak keberatan jika mereka mendengarkan, aku ingin mereka mendengarnya, aku akan menunggu di sana. Aku menunjuk bangku kosong yang pernah menjadi wilayah makan Tim Levi. Aku merasakan hampa hanya dengan melihatnya. Begitu, aku akan mengumpulkan semua orang secepatnya. Dia merespon dengan singkat sebelum berjalan menuju Levi dan Hanji. Aku berjalan pelan menuju bangku dan duduk dengan kaku, menarik tudung jubah pinjaman ke atas kepalaku. Aku menatap tanah, merenung pada diriku sendiri. Ini sungguh lucu. Duduk di sini membenci hidupku ketika teman-temanku mungkin sudah terlibat dalam perang. Aku tidak menginginkan apapun yang melebihi melihat bagaimana mereka melakukannya. Aku ingin kembali ke kehadian di sana saat itu, membuka akan pikiranku. Aku tertawa kering, yakin bahwa aku terlihat aneh bagi orang-orang, tapi aku tidak peduli. Aku membutuhkan lelukan saat ini. Tertawa adalah obat paling mujarab dalam situasi seda. Aku meletakkan kepalaku di atas meja dan berpikir tentang bagaimana aku akan memulai. Aku mungkin seharusnya mulai dari mana aku berasal, dan bagaimana aku ditarik ke sini. Ini akan terdengar sangat menggelikan, tapi aku harus kuat. Aku berbaring di sana selama beberapa menit sampai aku merasakan sebuah tangan di punggungku, menggelus dengan lembut. Aku bangkit dengan cepat, membuat Arman melompat mundur guap, kaget. Oh, aku kupikir kau tertidur. Dia berjejer dengan malu, merona mungkin tertangkap sedang memijat punggungku saat aku tidur, jika itulah yang dia lakukan. Tak apa. Tidak perlu guap seperti itu. Aku menggerutu, mempelajari wajahnya. Dia menggelikan matanya dan menarik tangannya di belakang punggung. Boleh aku duduk? Tanyanya. Aku mengangguk. Silakan. Dia dengan cepat bergegas menuju ujung lain meja dan duduk, memandang mataku dengan hati-hati. Aku senang kau baik-baik saja. Dia berbicara dengan tenang, tapi bisa kukatakan dia berusaha untuk tidak tergagap. Dia seperti Hanada dalam versi laki-laki. Ini membuatku tersenyum. Terima kasih, aku juga. Aku memberinya senyum lebar yang menyebabkan wajahnya memerah. Aku ingin memberitahumu, jangan pikirkan Mikasa, dia hanya terlalu mengkhawatirkan Eren. Dia memainkan ibu jarinya dengan guap. Dan, kurasa dia tidak suka kau menghabiskan waktu bersama Eren lebih banyak dari dia, tapi dia akan menerimamu suatu hari, dia hanya harus mengenalmu lebih banyak. Aku menatapnya sesat, memikirkan gadis berambut gelap. Jadi bagaimana jika aku menghabiskan waktu lebih banyak bersama Eren? Apa ada hal yang perlu membuatnya cemburu? Aku tidak mencoba untuk merebut pujian hatinya. Aku menahan rasa sebaku dan mengambil napas dalam-dalam. Bagaimana denganmu? Apa kau menerimaku? Pertanyaanku polos tapi ini terlihat dia menganggapnya terdengar salah, dia hampir jatuh ke belakang. Yeah, I mean, I always do. No, not like that. I mean like, when we first met. Oops, that sounds wrong. I mean when I first saw you I wanted to be friends with you. He rambled quickly, completely confused. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. That's good to hear. I took his hand in mine and gave him a firm handshake. What was I doing? I wasn't here to make friends, but Armin was so shy and gullible, I couldn't refuse him. Oh, that's a relief. He whispered softly, squeezing my hand back before letting go. Erwin suddenly sat down in front of me, nearly pushing Armin aside. The small boy quickly got up and stood next to Mikasa and Eren, along with the others. They circled around me. I swallowed hard when I caught Levi's eye. He was standing next to Hanji, waiting impatiently. We're here to hear what you have to say. I'll forgive your lies if you tell me the truth. I fumbled with my hands nervously. Now I was acting like Armin. Okay. I began slowly. Now it was time to explain. I looked around at the faces staring at me, waiting for my story. I took a deep breath and calmed myself. Continue, Erwin spoke softly. He looked so interested, he almost leaned forward slightly. I swallowed hard. Okay. I totally lied, I'm sorry, but the truth is going to sound crazy to all of you. I looked down at my hands and continued. I'm from the village of Konoha, a place deep in the land of leaves. We have defense mechanisms, but not against titans, because titans don't exist where I'm from. We're ninja who fight against ninja. Well, I was losing confidence with every stare I got. Oh Kami, they were going to send me to the mental hospital after this. So, somehow, I got a day off from my mentor, the village leader, and I decided to train, air. So I just did. It was really fun. I got completely ambushed by Akatsuki members. This guy was literally sending his body parts far away, to avoid getting hit, and well. I fought him but I knew I wasn't going to get him so I tried to trick him so I could escape, then he did some weird jutsu, probably with his fucking Sharingan, a vortex or something that sucked me in. I was rambling fast now. I woke up in a forest, the forest where our expedition was, so I came here from somewhere else, far away, impossible to reach, basically like a parallel world. I stopped when I heard Jean interrupt with uncontrollable laughter. He was laughing wildly, tears welling in his eyes. I winced. Really? What happened to you? What happened next? You were kidnapped by a talking horse and ended up here. He held his stomach as he laughed. The others just stared at me silently. It's the truth. I hissed. I knew I'd be laughed at, but it felt awful anyway. I see, Erwin said with a serious face. Sakura, you should be serious. Eren muttered. I turned to him with sulky eyes. But it's the truth. I roared. Hanji grinned and pushed past Sasha and Connie. My child, don't be afraid. I believe in you. The thought of that happening to you is terrifying. She cried. Levi's eyebrows twitched. Only a madman understands madness, he muttered under his breath. I hit the table so hard that the wood broke and the edge of it flew upward. Erwin sat down quickly, the others backed away. Jean finally stopped laughing. Call me crazy again and I'll kill you. I glared at Levi with hatred. He stared at me with wide eyes. If you're not going to take me seriously, then what's the point of this conversation? I'm done. I turned to leave, but then felt a hand grab my arm. I turned to see Erwin looking at me. I'm taking you seriously, please continue. I looked at him carefully, then sighed and stood next to the shattered wooden table. All right, the next one who laughs will end up like the poor log here. I glared at Jean in particular, who gulped and shrank back. What you just witnessed wasn't a power that came from a Titan's abilities, I acquired it through training with my mentor. I can also heal, and I'm known as a great medic. Quote. I looked at Erwin seriously. I woke up in the woods, there was a man there, he tended to my wounds, he injected a yellow liquid into me with a syringe. Eren gasped, his eyes widening in recognition and remembrance. I don't know what it was exactly, I think it was medicine, he was also acting a bit strange, anyway, he told me about the wall, so I came here to find shelter, until you attacked me. I paused, letting that sink in. Erwin frowned. A man in the forest outside the walls? He asked in confusion, his expression holding back surprise. I nodded. Yes, I asked for his name and told him to call me Dr. Jaeger. I felt pain shoot through my shoulder as Eren nearly pressed himself against me, shaking me roughly. You saw my dad. Where did he go? Do you remember? I winced and shook my head. Ow, you hurt me. No, I didn't see him, sorry. I tried to follow him but he left. Eren shook his head in confusion. He cursed under his breath. What the hell is that bastard doing? Running around in the woods and playing the nurse, he spat. The young man was roughly pulled back by Levi by the collar of his shirt. Don't forcefully grab a girl, brat, he grumbled. I blinked at his actions, meeting Levi's eyes. Sorry, Eren said, scratching his neck. Erwin frowned, deep in thought. Probably wondering how an old man could save himself out there. Eren, your father injected you with that liquid too, right? I asked him. He nodded, clenching his fists. When I was little, I had the flu, he took me to the basement and told me to lie down on the floor while he took out a needle. It didn't seem right so I struggled. I didn't stop him from injecting me, he just told me to stay calm and I would be treated. Her eyes were filled with tears as she silently recalled her past. Why did he do that? What was his purpose in injecting two people? Mikasa muttered, causing the people around me to whisper in confusion. What do we get from ninjas turning into family drama? Jean muttered with a pout. That part must be true, because Eren was a witness to her experience. Hanji exclaimed. The rest is true too. I shouted, waving my arms wildly. Levi cut me off. Prove it, you said you could heal, so do it, heal someone, he said bluntly. I frowned in determination. Okay, I'll do it. I stepped in front of Erwin and extended my hand towards him, folding his arm up. Holding my hand over his arm, I first noticed a bruise that had formed when he pulled up his jacket to rub it. He must have gotten this in the forest, it would be easy to heal. I concentrated as people approached, curiosity getting the better of me. My hand glowed green as I pumped chakra into the bruise, easing the pain. Erwin gasped. I could tell he felt the wound heal. Everyone around me muttered, "Ohs," and "ahs." As I finished, Erwin examined the bruise. The bruises are gone. How far is your medical skill? Can you only heal bruises? I shook my head. No, I can mend bones and reattach lost limbs, and even remove toxins from the body, not to mention helping someone recover, as long as that person is still alive. Impressive, Levi said. He perfected it. I grinned like an idiot, feeling good to be seen in front of Sasuke's clone. I've always wanted Sasuke to look at me the way Levi looks at me now, it makes my stomach tingle. Thank you, I whispered to him. Hey, he's a huge asset if he can do this. Connie shouted. This is just what we need. Really? How do you do it, Sakura? Let me try you. Hanji exclaimed loudly. I just stayed silent. No way, I muttered, shuddering in horror. It's called chakra. Everyone from my village has it, but we all use it in different ways. I just used it to heal. I can summon a giant slug to help heal too, but I'm not sure if I can do that again. I'd have to bite myself to do it and I'd just turn into a titan. My shoulders slumped. You can if you don't think about it. You have to have a clear goal to change. Sakura, your story is unbelievable, but I have faith in you, I believe in you. Eren put his hand on my shoulder, this time gently. I pouted. How am I supposed to call Katsuyu without thinking about it? After all, Eren believes in me. So do I. Armin shouted. I smiled happily. Mikasa just snorted. Yeah, if you can make the glass glow green then this must be true. Jean said. Bertholdt and Reiner remained silent but nodded in agreement. They had strange looks on their faces. Why yeah, even though this is crazy, a world without titans, and there's a crazy doctor out there injecting people, what's he doing it for anyway? Connie and Sasha exchanged words about possible theories. I believe you, Sakura. Erwin smiled warmly at me. I was grinning like a complete child now. Are you planning to come back? Levi asked nonchalantly. Studying my face, I looked down in deep thought. Yeah, for some reason, I thought about playing around with those scrolls. If there's a way to send weapons with them and hide clones inside, there must be a way to get through them. I said in a low tone. I've been thinking about this since I've been here. Finally I got it right, I have to experiment. Hanji's face crumpled. Oh, he mumbled. I gasped and raised my hand. Ah, I won't see your pretty arms break the table again. That turns me on completely. Ymir pouted, getting a nudge from Krista. But I want to help you guys first. I want to protect you guys as much as Eren. Please, let me help you guys. I shouted at them. Sasha shuddered. Those slugs are probably somewhere near me, she muttered. Erwin crouched down to my height. He was tall after all. He raised his hand, waiting to shake. I turned to Eren, who smiled and shook his head once. I took his outstretched hand and shook it. We'd love to have you. I felt a warm bubble burst through my body as I was officially accepted into the Survey Corps. Suddenly, my body gave way and I collapsed to the ground exhausted. Erwin's hand gripped mine worriedly. Sakura? He asked. People murmured. I smiled. I'm fine, just tired, I said, closing my eyes. I felt like I was sleeping there on the floor, not even caring about the mud beneath me. Hands slid around my waist and I was pulled up with a scream. Levi held me like a doll by the middle of my torso, leaving my legs dangling. You got my clothes all dirty, how pathetic, are you always this dirty? He turned to Erwin as I struggled in his grip. I'll take him to his room so he can clean himself up and get some rest, we'll need him fully awake for our plan. Erwin nodded, giving the dark-haired man a serious look before walking away, breaking up the group. I shook myself and growled at the damn Sasuke clone to let me go, but then gave up when I sensed he wasn't going to. I just pursed my lips, debating whether or not to push him away. This wasn't going to be easy. After all, this was payment for all the time he made me clean like a slave. Let him take me, I thought with a wide smile, probably his arms twitching and suffering from pain. He kept walking, entering the building and descending the stairs to the basement.